about it, and they wanted to know about the event, and they would have bought tickets. We're gonna try really hard this year to remedy that. We need to advertise it. Maybe that means bugging the fighters more. I hate doing that, but maybe we have to. And just me making content around this shit. And I want more people to come to this event.
Welcome back to Idiot Influencers. Today, we'll be jumping back into the story of Ian, aka Idubbbbz. I've done videos documenting both him and his lovely wife Anisa in the past, but so much has happened recently to warrant another video. Not only have they been attempting to revive Creator Clash, but they've attempted to go after Ethan Klein, further splitting apart what's after their audience. But before we go through all of that, I need to give some important context. While Ian used to be a revered figure in the early commentary community, many cite the OnlyFans drama as the beginning of the end for him, though what really started that in my opinion was the Sam Hyde drama, where Ian went to Rhode Island to film a documentary on the controversial comedian. Ian came across as vindictive against Sam the entire time, with some theorizing that he wanted to make a hit piece. Sam thought this himself, and to make the documentary more interesting, he crafted various comedy bits to gaslight Ian. These worked too well, with Ian never being able to tell what was real and what wasn't, biggest of which was Sam's fake drug-addicted girlfriend, Danny.
Have you tried to get her any help?
No, seeing as she's a girl I paid $500 to shave her head and pretend to be my girlfriend, no, I haven't tried to get her any help. Should you want me to try?
Well, okay.
I don't know her that well. It's probably not my business to get her off drugs. Also, I think I told her to put her hand in your pocket and pretend to be on drugs.
Shut up.
You think are you serious? You think I would date a girl that has her hair shaved like that?
Yes.
You think I'm a fucking mental case?
Yes.
Ian held a grudge following the documentary's release, and ended up banning Sam from his first ever charity boxing event, Creator Clash. His reasoning was Sam being a business risk.
He's not a super cooperative guy. He's very unpredictable. So involving him in our event just isn't a good idea. I think most people would.
It's just a massive business risk.
I think most people would understand that.
Yeah, it's a huge business risk.
Now this drama would spill out into 2023, as Ian would kick off one of the fighters for Creator Clash 2, Froggy Fresh. The reason cited was Froggy training with Sam Hyde.
The main reason Froggy was kicked from the card was for collaborating with Sam Hyde.
Though many also believed he was kicked due to a joke Froggy made about Anisa's OnlyFans.
On April 15th, if I don't hurt you beyond what anybody could have imagined, I will be so disappointed in myself that I will subscribe to Anisa's OnlyFans.
This whole situation is when many like myself turned on Ian, as he banned someone over guilt by association after they had spent months training. It came across as Ian caring more about his reputation and ego than all else. Around the same time, Ian was also getting criticism for his drawn-out apology tour, which many found to be performative. He would go from podcast to podcast, basically disavowing his old content and style of humor, finding it to be deeply troubling. This led to his now infamous apology video, where he specifically cites the content cops as the most egregious content he's ever made.
The content I'm talking about specifically are content cop videos and videos where I was just generally criticizing people for very lackluster reasons and, obviously didn't have any accountability online whatsoever on my end. I was morally grandstanding and acting as if I am any better than any of these people that I was making content cop videos on, and I'm not. I'm a human, I'm a real human who makes mistakes, and I make a different set of mistakes than the people I was making videos on, but it doesn't matter. I don't think anyone deserves that level of cruelty or hate. It's also indoctrinated a lot of people into thinking that this is an okay way to behave, and it's not. It's super irresponsible and shitty.
Many recently, especially H3 fans, say that this video is aged poorly, but I'm here to tell you that it's never been good to begin with. This video is hypocritical from the start, as it was clear he still wanted to do content cop videos on specific targets he deems reprehensible. I mean, only 2 weeks prior, Ian released what was essentially a content cop on Froggy Fresh. And I'm not pulling that out of my ass, Ian teased the video as such.
Do you want to hint at maybe what else you're going to do on your main channel? You don't have to say who it's about.
Yes, on my main channel, I'm going to be addressing controversies, and I'm going to be putting out
a
I'm gonna be putting out a content cop.
there you
Yes! Let's fucking go, baby!
A content cop about controversy related to controversies.
That might be nah.
No,
That might
that's
be
true. Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
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 Wow.
It's a content cop.
I am. This is a very vague tease.
And this video Ian did on Froggy is fucking terrible, and displays 10 times more cruelty and hatred than his old content cops. He spends the video painting Froggy as sexist because he made a few OnlyFans related jokes, paints him as a manipulator through text messages he briefly flashes on screen, and shows out of context clips to make it seem like Froggy was shit-talking Career Clash 2 before he was kicked, when these clips came out afterwards. Now, I'd also refer to the Cartnarks video as sort of a content cop, but it's too pathetic to be considered such. It's just 15 minutes of Ian complaining about white guy insults.
There's a lot of people who say like, yeah, this ain't so bad. The Cartnark, he's hitting people with the white people insults. What's so wrong with that? It's like, dude, if someone called you lazy bones, would you not feel fucking awful? Especially if you're being lazy? That shit is like a level 9 white people insult. Those hurt.
Now, these controversies aren't the only reason Ian has fallen from grace. It's also the content he's been putting out. It's some of the most boring and lifeless shit I've ever seen. Barely anyone is watching these videos, and it's not due to the topics Ian discusses. I mean, this guy has gotten millions of views catching squirrels in his backyards and making popper toys. His main issue is that he's boring as sin now, and lacks the confidence he used to have. Modern IdubbbzTV videos lack energy, and make it seem like Ian is completely lobotomized. And this has reflected on his viewership, with videos struggling to reach 300,000 views. That might seem fine to some of you, but this guy has 7 million subscribers and used to reach 5 million views on average in his heyday. This guy was big enough to be collaborating with PewDiePie and Post Malone at one point. Nowadays, Ian comes across as a buzzkill.
I like pineapple on my pizza. Like just the juice. Put that back in. Little salt. Oh. I'm a pineapple guy.
Okay, you're putting it.
This is my side. Okay?
Yeah, but it's kind of like this pineapple juice is on everyone's side now, though.
The comments to this Cold Ones episode are brutal, with fans writing, "This is how a dog that's been ruthlessly abused his whole life acts when he first enters a new loving home. Ian was going crazy in this one. He drank half a glass of wine in under an hour. Ian looks like he just had a fight with Anisa in the car before getting dropped off for daycare. You guys are lucky he could fit you in between his wife's tattoo appointments." For those wondering, this is referencing Max Mofo's wedding. Joji could come, but not Ian. These comments really got to Ian, leading him to respond to them on his podcast.
That video I recorded with Max and Chad, that is much closer to how I behave in real life. And I feel really bad that I didn't... I mean, it's a good experiment. I'm glad I did it, but I really wish that I had known that... that energy is, I think, kind of needed for something like a Cold Ones video.
Yeah.
If he wanted to be the straight man in a Cold Ones video, that's fine, but he just has no chemistry with Max and Chad anymore. He barely has chemistry with anyone, as seen through the podcast he has of his wife, She Ruined My Career. I've attempted to watch full episodes of this, but it's super rough, man. It's just them yapping and spouting out therapy speak. I don't know how anyone could watch these two and find them likable in the slightest. These two are only entertaining when they have crashouts on Livestream.
Ian keeps me on a leash, okay? And I'm okay with that because I need to be on a leash. I need to be on a leash, a tight leash, to be honest, because I am unhinged. I will just say shit.
If you somehow don't know, Career Clash 2 is a massive failure, as it not only failed to make money for charity, but it actually lost money.
Unfortunately, we didn't even reach the break-even point, right? We're $250,000 in the red. I foolishly thought that the success of last year should be a minimum, a minimum for what we are able to do this year. And that wasn't true.
In Ian's video about the situation, he mainly mentions pirating as the reason why the event lost money, not mentioning some of the other expenses besides the Crater Hotel. A big reason why Career Clash 2 probably lost a lot of money was the multiple influencer events he held, like the Red Carpet Gala. We're not sure how much these cost, but it must have been a lot if they spent $20,000 on a comedian.
Alright, good. Get the fuck out of here. Let me earn my $20,000.
Ian has barely addressed these parties, though when he does, he tries to justify them as ways to process trauma.
We also had events the day before the fight and the day after the fight, so that, fighters and friends and family could come together and process their trauma. That was sort of paramount for me because the first year we did the fight and then I went to bed. I got the shit kicked out of me by Dr. Mike, and then I went to bed, and then I woke up, the hotel was empty, and then I got on a flight and traveled 5 hours with my face completely swollen back to Seattle. And I was like, that was cool. That was so worth it. There was nothing. There was no processing my trauma. There was no talking to anyone and relating about the experience afterward. Everyone was gone. And that shit felt awful. So yeah, some of these things that might seem extraneous, in my opinion, were entirely necessary, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Oh yeah, you totally had to have 4 different parties help with your trauma. You hear that, veterans? If you get PTSD, you should just throw multiple different parties and you'll feel better.
Based?
Ian also spent a lot of money on security, basically kicking out anyone who was wearing costumes in case Sam Hyde showed up, which he didn't because he had a livestream reality show to make. The event also failed because the marketing for it was terrible. The only time people talked about it was during the Froggy Fresh drama, and some forgot they even bought tickets. And also, for an event called Creator Clash, Ian should be getting some actual creators to box, not random friends of his. No hate to some of these guys, but most of these people aren't relevant at all. I mean, my videos perform better than some of these influencers. And by 2023, the general public has stopped caring about influencer boxing. Doing a third Creator Clash would be disastrous, but they tried anyway. In January 2025, Creator Clash 3 was announced, and the roster wasn't any better. I mean, you had Harley Morenstein from Epic Mealtime back again, along with the odd ones out and 2 Minecraft YouTubers. And honestly, the opportunity to see 2 Minecrafters get punched in the head would make it worth it. But just like the last event, there's barely been any promotion for it. Ian released one video on the subject in a live stream nobody watched. Harley has been the only one extensively promoting it, even going on various podcasts and live streams to back up the event. He seems to always be playing both sides but doing a terrible job at it. And I like the guy, but it leads to some aggravating conversations.
For numbers wise, how can I trust your numbers when you told everybody that they had outsold Creator Clash 1 during the lead up with the Froggy stuff?
What I did was I said that specifically to Tommy C.
Yeah.
Only to Tommy C. That was not like a public thing. Tommy wasn't a journalist. It wasn't something to quote. I was literally sending him bullshit because I was like, fuck this guy. Which, by the way, shout out Tommy C. I don't have any issues with him. I actually kind of like him today in this day and age. But that wasn't like an official quote. So the fact that he took it, the DM, and spread it out, that was never it. It was literally, I was just like, fuck this guy. I was like,
so wait, you fed info to Tommy knowing that he was going to leak it, but then...
No, I didn't know. I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, this guy's a fucking random. I'll say whatever I want to him. But then he was like, yo, it's official. And people were like, why'd you tell him that? And I was like, I don't respect that person. I lied to him.
Besides that, there was some little known drama that happened in February with the booby streamer Amournath. She got into controversy for a clip of hers that resurfaced, where she discusses LGBTQ activists.
The two fires charred more than 37,000
right there.
acres.
They can all live. That's
over
a lovely
16,000
community.
structures and cost 29 people their lives.
Too bad it didn't cause the right people their lives.
I guess I'm not allowed to question the behavior of activists who threaten to incite violence against their own community, without being accused of hating the group affiliation they happen to belong to. I also don't assume the actions of a specific few are indicative of the whole. But thanks for making me a trend. Someone replied, telling her to put the fries in the bag, to which Amournath said she owns all the McDonald's in her city, which she apparently does not. Ian got himself involved, as he had previously worked with Amournath at the previous Career Clash events. If there are any McDonald's workers, or members of the LGBTQ or both who would like to beat up Amournath, the stars could be aligning. I think you'd need to be around 120 to 130 pounds, and we can set this up. And he was indeed trying to get her on the card, with Morgpie of all people stepping up to fight her. Amournath seemed down, but nothing ended up happening. It was basically just a way for Ian to drama farm off various e-girls, challenging Amournath to a boxing event in a failed attempt to promote Creator Clash 3. The event is going to fail, and pretty much everyone can see that. But one of the only defenses is to bring up the charity aspect. Oh, you want a charity event to fail? Yeah, I mean this one kinda, yeah. I mean this whole thing was never about charity in the first place. Creator Clash has always been an ego boost for Ian and Anisa first and foremost. It was a way to get a bunch of YouTubers and streamers they like all in one place, so they can morally grandstand about how great they are before spending shitloads of money on lavish parties. If this was for charity, they wouldn't be offering free trips to their friends to come to the event. And yes, this is something that happens. Froggy Fresh mentioned it in a YouTube comment. I was also pissed when I found out I couldn't buy, out of my own pocket, a room for someone close to me for my walkout, because people like Hasan, Denims, Froggy, and all these other people who didn't promote the event had nothing to do with it, and were just taking up oxygen, were given rooms at the hotel, and were able to go to everything. But our own friends and family had strict limits. I don't care about going to a party, it just seemed disrespectful that the normal people were denied a room at the inn, so to speak. So Hasan can enjoy the open bar and free catering without having too many gross normies around him. And if you're somehow not convinced, here's what Ian and Anisa had to say about Career Clash right before the first event.
Is there like a payday in the future you guys are working towards?
No, not really. I think we always want to have, if we keep doing this type of event, and we kind of want it to be like a Super Bowl, like every year.
You want to do it again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see.
If it works out, then we can do that, and there could always be a charity aspect to it. But I think the main goal is just to get the people paid who are involved in making it happen, rather than like making exorbitant amounts of money.
So your goal is to build an institution of sorts, this Creator Clash, where you can have people.
Fun.
There's a champion every year.
Yeah, it's a party.
Interesting.
It's like a way more exciting VidCon, or like I want it to be like influencers can like care about this, and fans can care about this, and like you can go watch it and have like a build up, like maybe parties before and like stuff like that.
Yeah, because we've gone to like the last Jake Paul event, and it was crazy the amount of influencers that were there, excited to see it. They weren't all my cup of tea.
Sure.
But it was exciting. Everyone wanted to be there. It was fun, and I think if we can harness some of that, but have it be even more exciting, because all of our fighters are mystery fights. You don't know how it's going to go. And then you have this, charity element. It's just like a win all around.
So in the future, maybe there'll be more profits potentially for you guys.
Potentially, but we're not looking at that really.
The charity aspect has always been an afterthought. The main goal has always been to make a VidCon-like event where they get a bunch of their friends together. Briefly, I want to switch gears and talk about Ian's former friend, Ethan Klein. For quite some time now, Ethan and his community have basically been at war with Hasan and his community. This all culminated in Ethan releasing a content nuke on Hasan, calling him out on his extreme political stances and deceptive tactics used to radicalize people. Hasan and his orbiters did not take lightly to this video, discrediting it any way they could. I went over some of this in my Mike from PA video, mainly how these guys have been claiming Ethan is in leagues with Destiny, despite Ethan making it clear that he thinks Destiny is a disgusting piece of shit. Now I do think there are some things to criticize Ethan for, but at the same time, you have to acknowledge that the conduct of his opponents are far worse. I mean, the harassment from this has gotten so far that CPS, yes, Child Protective Services, was called to Ethan's house.
On Friday morning, an agent showed up to our house saying that they had received an anonymous tip that our children were crawling around in dog shit, eating dog shit, and contracting diseases. Not only have they called CPS on us, now they're starting to try to call in a 5150 to get me committed. It's really gone on too far, and at this point, I'm ready to take no prisoners, take the gloves off, and call out everybody who needs to be called out. The thing is, once you target my children, then a line's been crossed that cannot be walked back. Once my kids are involved, when people are targeting my children, harassing my children, there's no length that I won't go to take care of this. And I think that's something that every parent can relate to. All these people, incidentally, who are promoting this type of insanity are, in fact, childless, and will likely remain that way.
Now, we're not sure where the call originated, but Ethan has reasonable suspicions to believe it came from the H3 Snark subreddit, as they have been spreading false rumors that Ethan's kids had contracted Giardia due to him being neglectful. This is misconstrued from a H3 podcast episode where Ethan talks about his new dog getting sick. He thought his youngest son got sick too, since Giardia can be easily spread, but that turned out to not be the case. People still ran with the narrative, with Amournath talking about it on his channel. Denims, one of Hasan's orbiters, reacted to it on stream, and not once pushed back against anything Amournath is saying.
So now the house is just like covered in dog shit, and he has kids, and his kids like crawl into the dog shit, and God forbid, I don't know what they do with it. I don't know if they eat it, or if it's just from like contact with it with their hands or something, but They contracted a parasite that I had previously never heard of in my life called Giardia from the dog shit that is all over his house.
Dude, how is it that like maybe once a week I look into what Ethan Klein's been up to, and every time I manage to find more and more terrible shit. This is where Ethan tells a story about his family getting Giardia.
We already have Mold Mondays. Now we have Shit Saturdays.
Also, this is not a joking matter, by the way. It can be very severe and deadly to small children. I mean, much like many other illnesses, it's very, very, very dangerous when infants get the same sicknesses that adults get. There are lots of things that you can get as an adult. You're totally fine. You'll be A-okay. No problem. A child, a small infant that has no immune system, shouldn't be catching anything.
Denims, who are single in her late 20s, obviously does not know that kids get sick all the time, and that's perfectly normal. Now this clip shows a scrolling chat with all mentions of calling CPS within a 15-minute time period. I chose the clip from the original source, but that appears to be lost media. After Ethan announced the CPS call, Denims quickly unlisted it, and one of her clip's channels privated it. She doesn't want you to watch the original, knowing it makes her look bad. She would then try to excuse the CPS call by saying kids don't form memories at a young age, which is about on par for other takes. Now another person who spread the false narrative of Ethan being neglectful is Froggy Tonic. Not to be confused with Froggy Fresh, Froggy Tonic is a former editor for IdubbbzTV who's helped with Critter Clash 2. He's been shit-talking Ethan for over a year now, but started ramping it up following the release of the content nuke. He's made tweets calling Ela Klein a cunt, saying Ethan neglects his dogs, and that he neglects his kids. And some of this came out a few days before the CPS call. Ethan would begin calling him out, following a tweet where Froggy blames Ela for corrupting him, which is the sort of thing people have been saying about Anisa for years. Froggy completely ignores this point, and instead calls Ethan a toddler. He then said, "Brother, you're 39. Go pick up the leftover Lexus and Addies off the carpet, and go clean the feces off your floor. Didn't one of your kids get Giardia? Come on, man, you're beefing with a rando who wants you and your family to be happy. Stop bathing in this toxic pattern." Ethan would bring him up on stream, mentioning the fact that Anisa was interacting with Froggy at the very same week.
The part that got to me about this is just like, this is apparently someone who's like a professional career as an editor who's worked with my friends on the previous Creator Clash, edited everything for them, who they still interact friendly with. And that just fucking breaks my heart. It does, as a human being.
Ethan gets emotional after this, as he has to explain how his dog died to dispel the narrative that he was neglectful. He turns his attention back to Ian and Anisa after this, noting their silence on the matter.
Anyway, this guy was saying shit like that Ela's a Nazi, that she kills kids, that she went on like, she's a IDF baby killer, all this types of shit. And that's showing up right up on Anisa's and Idubbbz's feed. My good fucking friends who I stood by after all these fucking years can't find a spine to speak up. You know why? Because they'll get murdered for saying one goddamn fucking thing in our defense. Like, actually, Ela's not a baby killer. Actually, accusing Ethan of killing his dog is maybe too far, because they have mobilized. I've probably done and stood by Idubbbz and Anisa more than anybody. I've stood by them when all the internet hated them, because I love those guys. I vouched for their character, and I stood by them 100%. And listen, I'm not saying that they're not the good, nice, fine people that I thought they were, but I'll say this: I don't think they're fucking any friends of mine. That's what I'll say at this moment. And certainly, I don't think they're any fucking friends of mine based on the text conversation I had with them too before I even talked about it. So I have nothing. I don't need any fucking halfway friends, man. That's not what I need.
Now, Ian and Anisa have been stuck between a rock and a hard place due to this, as they've been friends with Ethan and Ela for years now, but are also friendly with Hasan and a few of his orbiters. And I don't think they're obligated to speak out, but they clearly want to. Following the release of the content nuke, Ian didn't want to talk about it, seeing it as a sensitive subject, though it would get mentioned on their podcast a month later.
I'd love to hear your thoughts. No, I'm not going to give you our thoughts on the H3 content nuke. I refuse.
We don't, let me put it this way. We're very busy.
And yeah, if we let any of that enter our fucking lives, we'd kill ourselves.
Well, I guess you guys should kill yourselves. It's not me implying it, guys, it's them. Ian, I recommend the noose. During this stream where Ethan and Hila address the CPS call, he once again calls out Ian and Anisa's silence.
Yeah, friends like these.
Oh yeah, and our other good friends.
Yeah.
Anisa and Ian. Yeah. Thanks, Anisa, for standing up for your girl. I actually stood up for you so many times, because, like, why would I not? It was crazy. It's crazy. People were shitting on you and Ian because you did OnlyFans. Of course I was going to stand by you. That's insane. It's absolutely insane and disgusting. But now you choose to hang out with people that would have a problem with you if you defended me. So,
the problem...
Okay, if you want to hang out with those people and have no spine and not stand up for another girl that stood up for you, enjoy your new friends.
She's friends with people like Denims.
I know,
her chat,
yeah.
Which I'll
she's
show.
friends with
Denims is
Denim.
actually participating in this whole Child Protective Service lie.
Yeah,
Which I'll
and if
show you
you're
guys
friends with
instead.
them, then you're seeing what they're saying, right?
Oh, well, that Child Protective Service is even the worst thing. I mean, she's said worse things about you and me.
Yeah.
And I just don't see how you can be my friend and also be friends with someone like that.
Well, you can't. So I already forgot about you.
Ethan also brings up a text conversation he had with Anisa regarding Froggy Tonic, where she insists that Froggy doesn't work with them anymore, but clearly isn't willing to say anything about it publicly.
Like they say something like he doesn't work for me, and I strongly disagree, and I support Ethan and Hila. The problem is
that she doesn't.
That's the problem.
That's the problem.
She actually
thinks they have a point.
That's the problem.
Yeah. So go fuck yourself.
I agree.
Who else? Who else do we want to burn today?
Now, honestly, I don't think Anisa or Ian technically have to say anything publicly, but what Ethan and Hila are noticing is that they very clearly agree with Hasan and his community, and won't publicly address it because they're pussies. They don't want to cause a rift between themselves and H3, but they intrinsically have to if they're friends of people like Froggy or Denims, who are willing to spread lies about them. Ian and Anisa would respond a few days later on another podcast episode, where they tried their hardest to not mention the CPS stuff at all.
Ethan's upset with I think some of our connections, and we've tried to reach out to Ethan to talk privately. Basically, it just seems like we're at a bit of an impasse. So we want to stay out of the drama as much as possible. We don't want to pile on and add to anything. So this is our lukewarm addressing of it. It's we're always open to talk. Privately, especially, and we'll the door's always open.
Yeah, the door's always open. I want to really drive it home. We don't condone harassment of
we don't
any kind.
Condone harassment of any kind.
Of any kind. Okay, period. Which is why we have not stuck our foot in any of this because it is not productive. I don't think it's helpful.
There's a bunch of tangents in here, with Ian bringing up his apology video for the 100th time. They morally grandstand about how bad harassment is, while never diving into the specifics of the situation of Ethan. They instead compare him to Etika for some reason.
That was somebody who clearly was experiencing a mental health issue. And the last thing that they needed, and this is my attitude, full stop on this period. The last thing somebody who's going through something like that needs is more eyes on it and more people weighing in, right? And that's why I'm kind of angry that we even have to talk about it here, is that whether or not people who are in it right now realize it on any side, the more people who weigh in, the more people who add to the conversation, the more people who amplify it, the worse that it gets. We were in it, and at the time when we were in it and we wanted...
She's referring to us kind of going through a fucking hard time on the internet, being harassed, videos made about us, people weighing in.
People still make videos about us, and at the time, before we got help, before we went to therapy, yes, there was this attitude of why the fuck aren't people saying things? Why the fuck is no one saying how wrong this is? Of course we had anger about that, but we had to, now that we've gone to therapy and we've worked through all these things, one, the videos have not stopped, right? The comments about us have not stopped. What has stopped is me caring about it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys getting criticized by the commentary community is in no way comparable to having CPS called in your house. just because people didn't like a video you made. It's fucking ridiculous. This podcast would get torn to shreds, which must have motivated Ian to talk about it further. A month later, he announced the return of Content Cop, which sparked both excitement and skepticism. Some predicted it could be on Sam Hyde, maybe Asmongold. Personally, I thought it was going to be on Amournath because of the Twitter beef, but it ended up being about Ethan.
I do have some more bad news for you. Some breaking news. Your old friend Idubbbbz just released a video.
Yeah.
It's about you.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Oh my God. That is the... No, it can't be.
Well...
It actually can't be. Holy fuck, dude.
It sure is.
Oh my God. Holy fuck.
And from a quick scrub through, I think, well, it's going to be a little spicy.
This guy went from saying he didn't want to get involved to supporting people calling CPS, like associating with people calling CPS in my family. An atmosphere where someone like Bad Empanada is being platformed by people like Matt Lieb and Denims, who are friends with.
It looks like they're both in the video.
This new Content Cop on Ethan Klein is one of the worst videos I've seen in a while, and there's a few main reasons why I think that. A big one for me is that this feels less like a Content Cop, and more like an initiation ritual to join Hasan Pecker's orbit. Ian and Anisa have always been hovering around these guys, but this recent drama probably motivated them to align with them publicly even more so. My theory is that every time they get into a major controversy, instead of addressing it head on, they retreat deeper and deeper into the communities who would defend them, get criticized for doing OnlyFans, assimilate into spaces where that's acceptable, get criticized for the Sam Hyde documentary, assimilate into spaces where Sam Hyde is hated, get criticized for your shitty apology video, assimilate into spaces that think that was amazing. The main two communities that were defending them were Hasan's and H3's. But now that he's being criticized by the latter community, he's ingraining himself deeper into Hasan's. And this whole video feels more like a defense of Hasan and his cronies than an actual takedown on Ethan. I could honestly guarantee you that I can make a better critique of Ethan than this. I mean, Ian does a disservice by having this at the beginning of the video.
Wake up. Since anyone? Just wake up.
Wake up.
Wake up. Wake up. Wake up, Ethan.
I'm not gonna do a react content yet, chat.
Do you think God stays in heaven because he too lives in fear of what he's created?
So he's collaborating with Hasan, Denims, Froggy, and Sean the Black? No, I'm not racist, that's his name. He's basically a race grifter whose only claim to fame is a rant he went on about how if he killed Destiny, America will finally be a socialist nation. This whole skit is fucking awful. These are apparently supposed to be serious, hardened political creators, but they're doing shit that 15-year-olds would post on TikTok. They were getting all these photos taken like it was the coolest thing in the world. Wait, hold on a second.
I'm Hitler's top guy. What am I gonna do? Adolf Hitler chose me to lead the revolution.
What's ironic about this is that Ian tries to present Hasan and his supporters as hardened political scholars, and compares that to how goofy Ethan is, when in reality, Hasan spends much of his streams talking about internet drama like everyone else. He just does it from a high horse.
On the other hand, he's just got done capturing a massive progressive audience who are very politically savvy. They follow Hasan. Hasan is strictly a political streamer, so this is something they're very keyed into.
Ian also brings up the infamous 9/11 comment, and criticizes Ethan for thinking it was a joke.
Ethan talks about being aware of Hasan's 9/11 comments, and then sort of leaves it at that, like it was just a joke. Actually, I think Ethan describes them as edgy moments or jokes.
You might remember him from such classics as
America deserved 9/11, dude. Fuck it, I'm saying it.
Now, to be clear, I knew about all these edgy and controversial jokes at the time we made the show together, because who am I to judge?
No, Ethan, those aren't jokes, right? When someone makes a controversial statement like that, that's not them trying to be funny. I can understand why you would conflate the two.
That is someone who is extremely frustrated and passionate about a particular topic. In this case, American imperialism and terrorism. You could have looked into that. You could have talked to Hasan a little bit more and found out what his international politics opinions are. But you wouldn't even need to do that. You can look at it online.
Now, personally, I don't think it's a joke. But if you look at the original clip, Hasan presents it as such.
America deserved 9/11, dude. Fuck it. I'm saying it.
We're there to partner with them. We're not there doing our own thing. We're there partnering and training
in a video
and
game.
Equipping
And in the same Hasan stream, he's making edgy jokes about terrorists penetrating Dan Crenshaw's eye.
What the fuck is wrong with this dude? Didn't he go to war and like literally lose his eye because some mujahideen, a brave fucking soldier, fucked his eye hole with their dick? Isn't that how he lost his fucking dumbass eye? Because he got his fucking eye hole fucked by a brave soldier?
So yeah, even if you agree Hasan wasn't joking, I think showing a bit more context will explain why Ethan would come to that conclusion. Now, as part of the initiation ritual, Ian clearly chooses the side of Hasan, while at the same time downplaying his years-long relationship with H3. That to me is really fucking vile. I mean, he's choosing to associate with some of the biggest scumbags on the internet, but for someone who has had his back for nearly a decade.
Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, where we are friends with Denims, but I would say it's the same level of friendship that we had with Ethan and Hila. It's like kind of an internet friendship. We think that she's a good person like we think Ethan and Hila are good people. Kind of a tricky situation. How can you possibly think that they're both good people at their core? People can have crash out moments. People can say things that they don't mean. People can say things because they want internet clout and attention. I don't know, I think they're both probably guilty of saying things that they don't mean for internet clout and attention. Right now, one's a little bit more fucking nasty to me than the other.
This is an incredibly dishonest interpretation of how Denims operates online. I've delved into this through multiple videos now, but Denims is a truly horrific human being. She placed a 30k bounty on someone over petty drama, defended Keffals after they were exposed as a scam artist, victim blames teenagers who get porn addictions, called Froggy Fresh a Nazi, said America deserved 9/11, outright called Tectone an abuser without any evidence, spread a false narrative that led to CPS being called to Ethan's house, and way more. But no, according to Ian, she's a good person who says things she doesn't mean for attention. It's not like she's displayed years of unhinged and fucked up behavior that's rightfully given her a bad reputation. Ethan's the bad one because he's against Hasan, and is pissed because Child Protective Services got called to his house, and someone sent human skulls through the mail. And yes, this did indeed happen. Ethan would bring this up following the Content Cop's release.
There's something that I've never talked about publicly, but around the same time, we received 2 human skulls in the mail at our home, which led us to having a very pleasant interview with the FBI. Things have progressed well past the point of that's just what the internet does.
And again, Ethan isn't perfect, but I think comparing Ethan's behavior to Denims is absurd. I also just hate the fact that Ian is rewriting history and making it seem like he was never good friends with Ethan. These guys have been collaborating since 2016, and Ian was one of the first guests on the H3 podcast. He's made guest appearances with Anisa almost yearly, and Ethan and Hila were always there to defend them from hate while at the same time promoting both Crater Clash events. With Denims, I wouldn't be surprised if Ian's never really talked of her. She's more Anisa's friend since both of them are Arab booby streamers who do OnlyFans. But now that being friends with him could jeopardize his relationship with the Hasan crowd, Ian became a snake.
Our silence means something.
No shit!
That was my point.
It's almost like we were exactly right in the way we interpreted your silence.
That's why we were upset. Your silence means something. That's what we felt. That's what we acknowledged. That's what we saw. And you just
I think you're spending too much time with Denims, because like this self-owning, I don't think I'd
doesn't look good on you.
To do that before.
Even when we don't say something, they think we're saying something.
Our silence means something.
And what Ian's too stupid to realize is that Hasan and his orbit will eventually betray him. Once he says something they disagree with, they're going to dig up every old controversial clip and weaponize it. They've been doing the same thing with Ethan despite being friends with him for several years. Ian, these people you're in bed with have no morals. They only pretend to in order to feign moral superiority. Ian's new content cop is filled with concern trolling, which is when a person pretends to be on your side while presenting some wholehearted concerns. While in reality, they're doing this to gaslight you into believing their criticisms, despite how shitty they actually are. Ian thinks that if he comes across as a scorned friend, he can better get to Ethan, especially if he mentions Ethan's mental health. This instead comes across as moral grandstanding, something Ian claims he only did in his older content cops.
I was morally grandstanding and acting as if I am any better than any of these people that I was making content cop videos on, and I'm not. I'm a human, I'm a real human who makes mistakes, and I make a different set of mistakes than the people I was making videos on.
And I've always found this statement to be stupid because he wasn't really grandstanding in those older videos.
Like, I know I fucked up, but like, Idubbbbz really, out of everyone to call me out, this guy calls me out.
Well, you have some pretty horrible comprehension because I was hardly calling you out for it. I used it as a point to illustrate that you can be criticized for it. I didn't say that I'm morally superior to you because it seems like he has this disregard for what he can be criticized for.
What would he say?
And I just want to spell it out. Hey, dumbass, you did something stupid in the past. You can be criticized.
Ian is morally grandstanding in his newer videos, but making it seem like if Ethan stops having these self-described crashouts, then they can be friends again.
Since Ethan and Hasan's falling out, I've been keeping to myself mostly. I don't have many nice things to say. Maybe if Ethan's able to get some help, maybe if he stops harassing other creators, maybe if he does these things, eventually he'll find peace and we can rekindle our friendship.
It's a bit dishonest to present Ethan as the main harasser, when most of the people he's gone after went after him first. I mean, the whole reason why a lot of this drama started in the first place is because he quietly unfollowed Froggy on Twitter after she made a tweet cheering on the events of October 7th. She then made multiple different posts coping about why Ethan unfollowed her, leading to loads of Hasan fans sending harassment. Many of his orbiters would spend the next year taking potshots at him until the infamous TwitchCon panel. I think it's pretty reasonable for him to respond to critics, no matter how small their online following is. But Ian doesn't mention any of that, he just describes it as Ethan and Hila behaving poorly, not mentioning the unhinged behavior of his detractors.
You guys are just hurt, and you're kind of dancing around and making very loose, poorly thought out analogies for something that doesn't even apply to us. It's like me making this video is the standing up for something, and it's saying, fuck you, you guys are being bad. I don't think you're bad people, but you're being bad. You're behaving poorly. You're hurting people.
Ian also shames Ethan and Hila for treating their podcast like an emotional dumping ground, implying they should simply do fun and lighthearted streams.
Yeah, so go fuck yourself.
I agree.
Who else? Who else do we want to burn today?
Who else do we want to burn today? You're making it so fucking obvious that this is your emotional dumping ground. It's horrible. This is not what podcasts are. There was a way to approach this to say yeah, we feel hurt by you guys not saying something. You've decided to do the extra thing and attack. Now, in fairness, I am attacking back, but I feel very insulted and I feel defensive and I feel like I am speaking up for a lot of people who have problems with you and a lot of people who have been on the receiving end of your harassment.
Gotta love how Ian is justifying his attack on Ethan, but when Ethan does it to his critics, it's harassment. Also, Ian is the last person to criticize something for being an emotional dumping ground, because that's his entire podcast in a nutshell. This show is always intended to be pseudotherapy for Ian and Anisa, something that's made very apparent in the first episode.
Sometimes in my normal videos, I'm like, people don't want to fucking hear me talk. They just want to hear me, or they do, but it's like background noise, or they want to see a premise of a video or whatever. And not having that and just being like, all right, I'll dump, I think is that's a satisfying thing for me. It's like a way to categorize.
So it's okay when Ian has his emotional dumping ground, but not Ethan because he does it with internet drama, despite the fact that Ian also engages in internet drama on his podcast. Now towards the end of the content cop, Ian interviews Dr. Kirk Honda of Psychology in Seattle, someone he's had before on his podcast. Kirk has a series where he ranks YouTuber apology videos, and he's ranked Ethan's apology to QT Cinderella very highly. Ethan has made this a running gag, though Ian interprets this as something Ethan is very prideful of. So, in an attempt to take him down a peg, Ian tries to get Kirk to change the grade.
I was trying really hard to think about an impactful moment during this video, could I do something that would really wake Ethan up? And I don't know if this came from a good place or not, but I came up with the idea of getting Ethan's grade changed from an A to a B at least. So I went to visit psychology in Seattle. I'm not confident that Kirk will change his grade, but it's worth trying, and you know, we might learn a thing or two.
Oh yeah, this will definitely make Ethan stop going after people who've been lying about him being a neglectful parent. The funny part about all this is that Kirk didn't even change his grade, which completely ruins the ending of the video.
Okay, iDubbbz, I hear you. You're in the room with me right now. I hear you. I hear your request. I understand it. I can understand where it's coming from. And I guess have a policy that when there is a grade for an apology, I am just grading that discrete apology as I see it without taking any consideration of prior or future behavior. If you're wanting me to comment on the overall behavior or the recent behavior from the clips that you have shown me, I believe that Ethan is a good person and that eventually he will feel sorrow and will feel sorry and will apologize, and I will be there to evaluate that apology when it happens, which I know it will.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Unfortunately, Kirk did not change his grade, but that's okay, because this is the internet. Anyone can have their own official apology rating system, so I'm going to rate Ethan's apology a B-. That's just based on my own feelings and my own rubric.
This was supposed to be the big wake-up call for Ethan to get him to stop engaging with his critics, and Ian chose to still leave this in the video despite being such a massive L for him. During the outro, he also shows a clip of him crying about the hate he's gotten online, which was meant to make him look empathetic, but instead makes him look like a loser.
You know, I also see the dynamic of Ethan and Neil, and like, fuck, like, it's really hard to be, a couple online and see people attacking your partner, and it's like, okay, like if you come to their defense, if that doesn't always help them, right? Sometimes that makes it worse for them.
Boo-hoo! Your wife gets shit for being a hot-headed e-whore who constantly says stupid shit online for attention. The chick who called Lacey Green a cunt, tried justifying human experiments conducted by Nazis, made fun of Venus Angelic for being anorexic, spurged out on Rusty Cage in public, and shamed Zoe Berger for doing sex work until it became profitable enough for her to do it herself. Yeah, I feel real bad that people are making fun of her. That's totally way worse than CPS being called in your house. Ian, stop pretending like you care about Ethan's mental health when you say shit about how he needs an ass whooping.
When Psychology in Seattle was watching these video clips of Ethan, he said that it looks like Ethan could just use a hug. Now, of course, it kind of pisses me off to hear that shit, because I'm like, what are we doing? What are we saying? He needs a hug? No, he doesn't need a hug. He needs a good fucking ass whooping is what he needs.
But then, Ian remembers that he gained empathy at the ripe old age of 32.
I think only in these past couple of years have I gained the ability empathy, and I'm very ashamed to admit that. It sounds really pathetic to say at the age of 32 I've acquired empathy, but I have, and I've realized it because I just like can't help myself but like feel for other people's pain and suffering now.
So then, to not look like a massive hypocrite, he has to once again appeal to Ethan's emotions.
I think something that's very important to me in bringing back Content Cop is to be fair. I think that was something that was not illustrated in previous Content Cops that I think should have been, and probably wouldn't have left me with so much regret. Ethan deserves all of the criticism that he's getting. I think it's very valid, but I also think at the end of the day, we should acknowledge that he's human, because he is human, and he is in a situation that's making him extremely scared, paranoid, defensive, sensitive, and I'm sure other features and feelings.
So how does Ian do this? Well, he brings on Ethan's biggest haters, some of whom have justified the harassment against him, to say something they like about him. It's very clearly fake. These people don't want Ethan to get better, since they need him to continue this drama to garner more clout for themselves. Hasan never appears in this final segment, as that guy doesn't have anything nice to say about Ethan. Sean LeBlanc didn't know this, letting it slip that he didn't want to appear in it either.
I want you to Hasan watch it. And Hasan doesn't have a nice thing about Ethan. And the chat asked what I'm thinking. I'm like, wait, you didn't do a nice thing about Ethan? And he was like, no. And I'm like, wait, that was an option? I could have just said no. Mr. Charitability over here. Mr. Charitability over here said no to saying a nice thing about Ethan, but I did. All right, dude. All right, dude. I was tricked into being nice.
So Ian, stop pretending like you guys care about Ethan and want him to get better. You don't. You made this video to farm out the H3 Hasan drama, not to reach out as a friend to end it. You did this to make money, since nobody gives a shit about your other videos. That's the one thing I'll give Noah Samson. He was sort of honest about his intentions of his Ethan hate video.
Most of you have smartphones and cameras and TikTok, so go ahead. Start posting about it. Spread the word. Aside from being a morally good thing to do, it's also becoming sustainable. You know, it's algorithmically viable. The Ethan Klein Crashout industrial complex is booming.
I'm gonna give a bit of a hot take here. This video alone shows more cruelty and hate than any of the old content cops. Yes, even the Tana one, where he showed up to her event and said the gamer word. Because at least Tana learned from the situation to become a slightly better person.
I kind of think I like deserved that. And maybe that's like dark, like to say, but like, I don't feel like I'm owed an apology. And maybe that's because I've accepted it so much that like people always ask me if you could go back in time and like make that never happen, like would you? And I always say no. I think I would be a completely different person if I didn't have that. I think it like I was on track to just be so on my high horse and like egotistical and like nothing could go wrong, that something going wrong gave me such a dose of reality that like this might not last forever. Like, yeah, you need to be held accountable for actions. I don't know, like it made me do so much necessary growth, and I think it also changed the entire trajectory of my career and life. Like I don't even think canceled would be here if like I didn't get canceled a bunch and that was kind of the start of that to like shape that brand.
Do you really think this video is a good wake-up call for Ethan? No. All you did is rightfully piss him off, since you brought together his biggest haters, and Sean the Black, to Fortnite dance to concern troll about how they want him to stop having crashouts. And what's even more cruel is cutting out loads of context to make it seem like he's having unjust crashouts, presenting him as unhinged and mentally ill. Ian removes so much context to the point that it's malicious. I'm not going to give Ian the benefit of the doubt here, because he clearly knew how deceptive this would come across. Now, I'm not going to be going over every single instance of context being removed, though if you want that, I recommend watching Ethan's live reaction to it. But here I want to focus on the egregious examples. First is Ian's coverage of the Froggy tonic drama. He does show some of Froggy's tweets and refers to them as mean, but take note of what tweets he fails to include.
Now, my former editor of a year and a half ago did say some truly mean shit. He called Hila the C word. He said they're trying to kill their dog with cheddar cheese and a bunch of other shit, I'm sure. Ethan, at some point, discovers that Idubbbz's former editor says this horrendous shit about him and Hila.
Other shit does a lot of heavy lifting here, as what Ian didn't show was the tweets where Froggy implies Ethan is a neglectful parent. He does admit that the tweets go a bit too far, but tries to take the blame off himself by saying he never saw and supported them.
For all you know, I only use the For You tab. For all you know, I only use lists. For all you know, I'm seeing these things tweeted out by my editor of a year and a half ago and saying, God, that is nasty. I'm just not gonna throw someone away because they're having a parasocial weird moment. Just like I'm not gonna throw Ethan Klein away because he's having a parasocial weird crash out.
But you are throwing him away. This video demonstrates that. And you literally admitted 2 minutes prior that you are seeing his tweets. You proved his own point.
There would be an occasional Froggy tweet where I'd be like, I agree with that, you know? Like, I'm not gonna endorse it, I'm not gonna retweet it or like it, but fair enough.
And as mentioned earlier, Anisa was interacting with him at the exact same time period. Ian does not bring that up, and instead downplays it as Ethan simply being mad because Ian follows someone on Twitter.
And what you're saying to me is that I'm a bad friend and I'm a piece of shit, I'm spineless, I'm cowardly, because I am following someone on Twitter.
I'm not upset, Ian, because you follow people. That is absurd. I'm mad because you are actively engaging with these people on social media, in DMs, while this harassment is happening, seemingly indifferent to it, silent on it. In a sense, I felt like you were more on their side than my side.
Ian also never mentions the main reason why Ethan is mad at Denims, which is the CPS situation. He conflates that Ethan is mad simply because Ian follows her on Twitter.
So yes, you caught us. We're not gonna run to your defense when, we follow people. We be following. That's one fucked up thing that you can say about Anisa and I is when we're on Twitter, we do be following.
Ian does not once mention the CPS call, which is such a huge part of the story. In fact, the main podcast episode he takes clips from is titled, Snark Called Child Protective Services on Us. Ian never explains the CPS stuff, and instead vaguely references the Giardia rumors.
There isn't a single person that I respect who would give a fuck if I publicly said that Ethan and Hila are great with their kids, Ethan and Hila didn't kill their dog, and Ethan and Hila wipe their asses or don't have Giardia or whatever the prompt is. No one would care. The only person who would care is me, because I'm like, why did I tweet this out? I'm not tweeting out because I'm not your fucking lapdog. That's why I'm not tweeting it out. I'm not saying it to my audience because I don't give a fuck. It's not my business.
Again, Ian technically didn't have to mention the situation or make a tweet about it, but if he did, it would show off his new sense of self, the empathetic, changed man he described himself as during his apology video. Being this hostile to simply saying, hey, his kids don't eat shit, goes to prove that he has not changed for the better. Instead of staying quiet, he had to make such a big fuss and keep the drama going. Ian also brings up Ethan's hatred of Matt Lieb, a producer for Good Mythical Morning. It's in this segment where he's pointing out who's following who, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but he doesn't at all mention why Ethan dislikes Matt.
Matt Lieb is in this middle tier. His valuable association is Rhett and Link. So Rhett and Link, conveniently, are also in this category of popular and powerful men who Ethan does not want to burn bridges with. Although, he's sniffing around.
This guy, Matt Lieb, he works for Good Mythical Morning. Of all people, this guy, Matt Lieb, who apparently is a producer for Good Mythical Morning. Well, this guy works for Good Mythical Morning, acting like he's wholesome, and he's bringing on somebody that wants to kill my wife, or in a video game. And I think he should be fired, frankly. And I hope he is fired. He's pathetic, and he interviewed basically a terrorist.
It's only briefly alluded to there, but Ethan has criticized Matt for not only supporting, but platforming Amournath, who not only spread the rumor that led to the CPS call, but joked about being the one to do it himself. Ian never mentions Amournath in this entire video, despite his crucial role in all this drama. Not only has Matt been platforming him, but so has Hasan and his many orbiters. Amournath is a psychotic, unhinged man who spends his time slandering YouTubers, sparking harassment campaigns, and doxing his critics. This is the guy that pretty much referred to AB as a house slave because he works with Ethan. Ian obviously never mentions him because defending this guy would be a terrible look. Another thing Ian cut context from was Ethan's discussion of Hasan masking his true political identity from normies. Now I do think Ian has a point that Ethan should have looked deeper into what Hasan's beliefs are. It wasn't fully a secret.
This guy made a fucking program with the biggest mega leftist on the platform. Now he's acting like he was tricked and he was incapable of figuring out what this guy's beliefs were. Bro, I didn't make the fucking leftist program. You did. You made fucking, 60 some odd episodes of this shit for hours talking to this guy? You didn't have a problem with any of it until,
But at the same time, he fails to include a damning clip where Hasan mentions hiding his power level to radicalize people.
One thing you have to do is advocate for a lighter form while simultaneously still doing agitated propaganda that goes beyond, social democratic idea.
I just wanted to put emphasis on the exact point of the so-called radicalization funnel where, for example, Hasan and JT catch them while they're young, as they say, and then they start looking into this new idea, etc., and then move forwards through the funnel, get more and more informed, get more and more radicalized. You do your part in the funnel for the cause, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. You're doing, in my modest opinion, a great thing for the cause.
Now listen to Hasan during our very first conversation lie to me about how he's a social democrat to hide his power level.
We should move towards a Sweden-style economy or a Norway-style economy, which would be a social democracy. You have to advocate for a much lighter form of propaganda with robust social safety nets.
Called radicalization funnel, catch them while they're young, as they say.
and protections for workers, like higher unionization rates. A lighter form, while simultaneously still doing agitated propaganda that goes beyond social democratic ideas.
Even if you agree with Ian's point, showing that clip would explain Ethan's argument much better. Lastly, I want to mention the Arab to Jew tier list at TwitchCon 2024. He does not once bring up Ethan's main criticism of this panel, and instead focuses on the use of the word Habibi.
There was a tier list. It was called the Who Can Say Habibi tier list. It was presented at TwitchCon as like a panel that was just meant to be lighthearted and fun. And Ethan Klein saw that, and he decided that it was anti-Semitic.
Tier list them, and we're going to need your help to discuss and figure out who can say Habibi and who can't.
And also, we have tiers. We have Arab coded. They ask permission to say Habibi. You know, like you got like a white guy who's like, "Can I say it? Is it a slur?" And then Love Sabra, which is they're not Arab coded at all.
Now, when I first saw this tier list, I immediately knew what it was doing. I was like, oh, it's a play on the who has the N-word pass and who doesn't tier list. Granted, Habibi is very different than the N-word, but it is a cultural word amongst Arabic-speaking people and Muslim people. Like that is a word that's used.
Ethan does not have a problem at all with the use of the term Habibi. His problem is with the use of the term Love Sabra. Ian fails to dive into that, and instead makes a hypocrisy argument about a tier list Ethan did about white slurs. That was a ranking of the words themselves, not if a person fits into each tier. Ethan's problem with Love Sabra has nothing to do with the brand of hummus itself, but Ian never shows his argument.
If you're not Arab or understand Arab culture at all, which is a lot of Americans, and Ethan Klein presents you this tier list and calls it anti-Semitic, you're just gonna eat it up. It's not. Ethan is just proving his location on this tier list under Love Sabra because he doesn't understand Arab culture. There's a lot of Arabs who eat Sabra. There's a lot of people like me who eat Sabra. A lot of the times it's all that's in the store, and I'm gonna buy it and I'm gonna eat it, but it is not the good shit.
So the premise is who can say Habibi, an Arabic word of affection like baby or sweetheart. And this tier list determines who can say it. Top and most desirable tier is Arab. And at the bottom, the worst one is, quote, Loves Sabra. Now, why does Love Sabra equate to Jews? Sabra is a well-known Israeli company that makes hummus. They've been on the divestment list for many, many years, so the activists are well aware of their status. Oh yeah, and Sabra literally means a Jew that was born in Israel.
Ethan is explaining why he thinks Love Sabra is a dog whistle for a Jewish person, specifically one who loves Israelis. This is clearly what they meant by that, as the thumbnail for the YouTube upload of the panel features both Ethan and Ben Shapiro in the bottom tier. What do they have in common? Both have wives born in Israel, and Ben is never mentioned at all in this panel. That was deliberately done to market the tier list. And if you actually watch the panel, which most have not, Froggy and her pals treat the tier as undesirable to be in, using it to pull pranks on their friends.
Do someone in the audience.
Mike!
Yeah. Mike.
Me personally, I'm putting him in Love Sabra. Yeah.
Love Sabra.
Love Sabra. Love Sabra.
Yeah. Love Sabra. Everyone clap for Love Sabra, please.
Yeah, Mike loves Sabra. I would put it down there.
Sit down.
Sit down. This isn't an interactive show. What are you doing?
Security,
please.
Security.
We're putting you in Love Sabra. Must suck, huh, Mike? I mean, they boo Ethan as they place him in that tier.
The next person is one of my favorite people, Ethan Klein.
I told you guys to clap.
This is a good reaction.
That was a good one. That's good. All right. Turn that up. Turn giraffes.
We all know where this is going.
Okay. I like how we're giving audience input. They're like, fuck what you guys had to say.
Dude, where's the? You guys are missing a category for Zionist. That was a joke. That was just a joke in my.
Denims. Well, obviously it's Love Sabra, right?
Yeah.
It has to be.
That's easy. That's
Definitely Love Sabra.
This is a dog whistle, but these dumb fucks are massive pussies and won't ever admit that. I mean, these are the same people that constantly call others Nazis over the smallest of things, but they have an issue when you point out this panel where the Ian's holding a swastika sword. Ian removing all this context is not only malicious, it's cowardly. He's a coward for not being able to showcase Ethan's full arguments without cutting corners. This is not something an honest and empathetic person would do. It's behavior you would have called out in your old content cops. Hasan and his groupies know this is dishonest. There is no bad tactics with them, only bad targets. Now this content cop has already had negative repercussions on Ian and Anisa, specifically in regards to Creator Clash 3. Harley, who had been publicly defending the pair for years, seemed to deem this as the final straw. He clearly does not like Hasan's community, making various tweets critical of them. This caught the attention of Bana Panada, who began spamming tweets his way. Soon after, Harley announced that he wouldn't be boxing, later confirming that he left on his own accord. Lena Ayad, the wife of AB from the H3 podcast, had it much worse. She was completely unaware that the content cop was being made, and had a panic attack due to all the stress.
By the way, Idubbbz, Lena's fucking having a panic attack because why would you do this and not even tell her? Like, why would you invite someone on the show and do this? It's just fucking mean-spirited. I can't, I'm genuinely in disbelief. Why would you do this to Lena, of all people? Like, what the fuck is she supposed to do? She's been training. You couldn't at least wait till after Creator Clash? You didn't even think to give her a heads up? AB fought in 2 of your things, man. Don't you feel like some obligation to them?
Ian did just message me. He said, I'm sorry to put you in the position.
Wow, what a fucking nice guy. Just message you now.
He said he dragged me when I was already unhappy with what was going on. I didn't appreciate that, especially since he refused to get on the phone with me.
What?
It was meant to go live before the show, but I was having technical difficulties. Again, I'm sorry you're caught in the middle. And I know you tried to de-escalate, but it's clear Ethan isn't interested in de-escalating.
De-escalate? I just said I vented about them not defending me. What the fuck is he like? He's actually losing his shit and I just can't believe it, dude.
I just don't believe Ian wasn't trying to release the content cop while the podcast was live. And Ethan also brings up a good point. Why didn't Ian just wait to release the video? The drama would have still been relevant by late June, since Ethan planned on releasing a sequel to his content Nuke by then. This just felt like a hasty decision made without the forethought of consequences on other people. This put Lena in an awkward situation where she could have possibly got booed at the event. It was just a terrible environment to be in, leading to Lena leaving the event as well.
It's been a lot, and Lena's just sort of been thrown in the middle. She was kind of put in a really shitty situation, and boxing is a very serious thing, and you need your full concentration. And it was getting to a point that she was just caught in the middle of stuff, and I was afraid, and she was distracted at practice, and there's a lot to it.
Now, I want to make it clear, I personally think the way it played out is that she got booted. That's just my opinion, because basically when they dropped this content cop, they're like, oh my God, this affects Lena? How is that possible? What? They're like, what? You don't want to post and promote the fight now that we've declared like a holy war on your whole, on your boss's entire fucking community? It's not just me. I mean, the community members were not fans of that video.
So now, Creator Clash 3 is scrambling to find new fighters, with Tectone and Ice Poseidon claiming they've been contacted to fight. Both declined, though it's unknown how true their statements are. Ian would end up releasing a content deputy that I briefly want to go over. He barely addresses any of the criticisms of the original video, and instead justifies his exclusion of the CPS call.
You were triggered by this CPS harassment thing, and then you immediately equated Anisa and I to it. That was sloppy, and that was horrendous, and it was horrendous for us. I wonder why I wouldn't mention the CPS call. Could it be that the CPS call happened the same day that you were shit-talking me, and I didn't have any chance to defend myself? You just immediately, in the same podcast, right next to each other, said, CPS call was very traumatic. And then you said, fuck Ian and Anisa. And you linked those together, you kind of layered those flavors, and then Anisa and I got a bunch of harassment. We had nothing to do with the CPS call.
Ethan never said you had anything to do with the CPS call. His criticism is that you didn't have the balls to stick up for him, and you're friends with people that do have something to do with it. Both Denims and Froggy are spreading a narrative that Ethan is neglecting his kids. He was already pissed at you beforehand. The CPS call just caused him to be even more angry at you. And to defend his friends, Ian tries to justify the CPS call. He shows clips of Ethan telling the Giardia story, without mentioning that none of Ethan's kids had it to begin with.
So of course, Ethan, having made so many enemies over the years, other people react to his content. And when other people see that he's talking about his children getting Giardia from dog poop.
Sonny's crawling around, he's putting everything in his mouth, he's at that age, he has Giardia.
People are quite reasonably concerned. And so, yes, anyone who's seeing that content might be concerned enough to call CPS, including Ethan's own chat, which, by the way, is not a measly number. It's about 26,000 at the time of this stream.
Ian, these are clearly joke comments. Also, the stream he's showing came out in mid-February, while the CPS call didn't happen until early March. Fans were not the ones to call CPS, because if they did, it shouldn't have taken 2 weeks for them to come to Ethan's house. It clearly happened due to the false narrative Denims and others are spreading, because their post came out around early March, only a few days before the call. And what pisses me off even more is that Ian tries to push responsibility away from Denims.
It's just so bizarre that Ethan would expect Anisa and I to make a statement when Denims herself already made a statement about it and said that she does not condone calling CPS.
So we're talking about CPS. 1, I don't condone. 2, I've never condoned it, and you will not be able to find a clip of me saying, yes, we should do this, because it doesn't exist. I've literally given Ethan Klein credit on multiple times or multiple instances, and I will do it again right now, for not showing photos of his kids.
Who cares if she condemns it or not? She still uncritically watched a video that spread lies about Ethan and hid the evidence once getting called out. Imagine if I watched a video about Denims getting called a pedophile with no evidence and didn't push back against it once. Then, when her life is ruined before she's proven to be innocent, I disavow people calling her a pedo. It doesn't change shit. The rest of Ian's video is just him downplaying the CPS call and shifting focus to Froggen. And I'm sure she's kind of been harassed, but a lot of that extends to fat jokes comparing her to Jabba the Hutt. Completely different from people messing with your kids. Ian never mentions the other criticisms his video got. He doesn't show the more damning Froggy tonic tweets, he fails to mention who bad Amournath is, he doesn't fully address the Arab to Jew tier list. It's just shit. Just as bad as the first part. Ian also mentions Ethan's comments about Creator Clash, trying super hard to pin the event's failure on him. He obviously can't fully do that, since that would be bad faith.
Don't worry, Ela. I'm not going to blame you guys for anything Creator Clash related. I know you're terrified of taking accountability for anything, so that will rest solely on my shoulders. But I can't speak for the internet. The internet might actually blame you guys for it. Now, with this recent revelation that people are just going to use Creator Clash to attack Anisa and I, Anisa and I have decided to step away from Creator Clash. We have relinquished control to our business partners who ran the previous 2 events. They're very capable. They know exactly what they're doing. They run events on a regular basis. The event is still happening. Anisa and I just don't have any financial ties. We don't have any ownership. We are, I think just going to be known as the founders of the event. Yeah, I mean, I think it had to come to this eventually. I can't keep my mouth shut. I can't, I can. I just didn't want to. I want to be frank. I want to be honest.
And how did that work out for you, Ian? You sunk your whole event because of petty drama that involved some of the fighters. All of H3's shots at Creator Clash were specifically about Ian and Anisa's management of it. He also pro-clutches over the fact that Ethan showed a tweet from someone who's an MDE fan.
He's reposting random troll accounts that are very easy to vet. If you click on this profile, it has a bunch of Sam Hyde adjacent posts, and it just hates Anisa and I. Come on, dude, you're one step away from calling me a cuck. Just take the plunge.
Oh, and that reminds me, Ethan actually brought up Sam during his reaction to Ian.
You know what's funny? I genuinely think that Sam Hyde broke Ian. And when he told me, he was like, he came and he
was
like,
such a bizarre chapter.
He says, I'm doing a documentary on Sam Hyde. I told him, and Anisa was here. I said, that's a huge mistake. Do not do it. You guys, I don't know who, I said, do not do it. Like, trust me. Because Sam's the type of guy who's going to get the best of you, really, no matter what. And it turns out he did. And he's even crazier than Ian anticipated.
Right.
He absolutely, I think it just broke him.
Now let's be real here. Sam fighting is the only way Creator Clash 3 is going to succeed at this point.
You know that, Hasan Piker? I'm coming to kill you in Los Angeles at your house.
Or in the ring.
No, in real life. I'm going to stalk him and become obsessed with him and wear his makeup and his dresses and use his skin as a coat, like the ancient Irish did.
But Hasan won't fight anyone, as he gets combative whenever the subject is mentioned.
So whack, bro. Like, I don't understand why all you motherfuckers have to, like, run around with this shit.
What's going on? What's going on?
Nothing. Get the fuck out of my face, bro. You fucking asshole. Yeah, what do you mean, damn, bro? What the fuck do you mean, damn? What do you mean, damn?
Now that Ian has left, people have compared this event to the captain of the Titanic abandoning ship while it's sinking. A more apt comparison would be Francesco Scattini, the captain of the Costa Concordia. Freddie Wong, one of this year's fighters, made a long-ass message on the Creator Clash Discord, where he sneak disses Ian from joining the event in pointless drama. He also mentions that Ian has not been in regular communication with fighters, despite him and Anisa claiming so for years. This completely contradicts what Ian said in his video.
We've already told all the fighters, and it seems like most people understand that this is the best move. If the previous content cop was entertaining to you, or this video is entertaining, or you like the message, the best thing that you can do, for me, is to support Creator Clash.
I've always known this, but Ian and Anisa rarely check up on the fighters. They've only pretended to for PR. I also want to mention this Reddit post from what seems to be Froggy Fresh's wife, who claims Anisa is an awkward bitch, and shames other women who do sex work outside of OnlyFans. I'm not surprised about that one bit, because of her old drama with Zoe Berger. If you still like Ian and Anisa, I don't know what to tell you. These people are rotten. They have no consistent morals. They just make impulsive decisions with no regard for those around them. Ian will morally grandstand about how Froggy Fresh and Sam Hyde deserve to get banned for their edgy remarks, yet doesn't even have the balls to disavow his friend, Froggy Tonic, over statements that are far worse and have actually caused real-world damage. And Ian never stopped being edgy. He just switched sides. He politically realigned. He'll shame his past self and other people for using slurs, but now hangs out with people who make death threats on a regular basis. At least back then, Ian was blatantly an asshole.
Straight off the bat, I want to let all the newcomers to my channel know that I'm perfectly fine with bullying. Make fun of someone because they're fat, autistic, or riddled with acne, I don't care. Make fun of them. I think my only stipulation with the bullying is that you also have to not be a pussy.
But now he acts like an asshole, pretending to be someone who has learned empathy. He just can't trust someone like that. It makes him a snake. These new friends of his will eventually betray him, and I won't feel bad for him in the slightest. He's reaped what he sowed, and is now having to pay the consequences. Was this all inevitable? Maybe. All I do know is that he never should have put on that medallion.
I feel pretty confident in doing a money shot with this one. Don't make me fucking regret this decision, Annalise. Money shot? Alright, pretty good. What the hell, is this a fucking cookie? Dear Mr. Idubbz, thank you for making such funny, entertaining videos. I know that I really enjoy them a lot. Ah, that's fucking sweet. In the package, I included a Sonichu medallion that I made. I wore it to a convention where I cosplayed as Chris Chan. Do you know much of Chris Chan? Yeah, I know a little bit about Chris Chan.
Anyways, I'll be at Creator Clash 3 to watch it fall apart. I'll get a photo with Denims and spout, "Say Sabra."
Because since I've known you, you've always had like IBS.